Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Sports Stories with Sasi. We are back again with another edition. So, what we're going to be doing is that we are actually going to be doing it bi-weekly. Everyone's back at work, very busy, getting back into the new norm, if I can put it that way. So, yeah, it's going to be difficult for you guys to be tuning in and this is obviously watching this show. But so, if we bring it bi-weekly, maybe then you can enjoy it. So, without further ado, I want to introduce you to our guest today, someone that I've known now for a couple of years, someone I call a friend as well, former professional footballer from the UK, played for the Welsh national team, Simon Church. Welcome to the show, mate.
Thanks for having me on, Sasi.
Round of applause for you, of course. So, tell me, what's been keeping you busy?
Obviously, with everything that's gone on, it's kind of been a nice time to spend with the family. I think being a professional footballer, you spend most of your career away from your family, and you don't get to enjoy the time. And since I retired, I thought I'd have more time with the family. But as you know, we've jumped into quite a few different business ventures, and yeah, spending time with the family has been difficult. But with this COVID, it's been a great chance to spend some time with them.
Excellent. We're going to be talking about all of that because I know you're quite an enterprising guy. At the same time, you finish your career. You finish your career quite early, like me as well. So we got plenty of things in common. I want to talk all about that. But let's talk about how it all started for you because I'm pretty sure that a lot of our viewers here they'd be interested to know how you got into football in the first place.
Yeah, it started when I was about 5, 6 years old. I think my dad just took me to a local team. I just instantly fell in love with the game, as a lot of professional footballers do, as a lot of people do. Just always had the ball with me. Obviously, had some sort of talent growing up. And yeah, I was scouted for Wycombe Wanderers at the age of eight or nine, and just worked my way up from there. From the age of 14, I was then part of a deal with Reading. I was bought by Reading at 14 years old. Went through the academy, and yeah, it was an amazing journey. Got my opportunity quite young in the first team, and yeah, went from there.
A lot of people in Asia, obviously, a lot of football fans, they look into the UK and they say, like, oh, how do professional players come about, right? Because you made it sound easy. It's far from,
Yeah.
we all know that, right? It's far from easy, right? So there are different levels that you need to go and, different things that you need to do. You at Wycombe Wanderers, was it kind of like you were part of a school team and then you got drafted in? How does that process work? Because I've spoken to a lot of players and their journey has been, I suppose, different and varied, right? So some actually played up to a club at 16 and they got dropped and then they made the leap up afterwards. Like how was your journey like? Were you already showing signs of talent when you were much younger?
Yeah, I think I was from like a real early age, 7 and 8. I had a few scouts coming to watch me, Tottenham's, Chelsea's, Fulham's, all the local clubs, and then Wycombe Wanderers took me on. I was a local lad. I lived in Wycombe, so I used to go and watch the matches. So when Wycombe Wanderers said, "Do you want to come and play for us at 8 years old?" You think, of course, why not? And at the time, I was still playing with my local club. And I'd train with Wycombe Wanderers. So I'd play on Saturday with Wycombe Wanderers, then play on Sunday with my local club. And the whole weekend was just about football. And then it got to the age of about 12 where I had to leave my Sunday league football, all the other football, and concentrate fully on Wycombe Wanderers. And at the time, my love for football grew and grew and grew, and that's all I ever wanted to do. So sacrifices were made at 12 years old, and I just focused on playing for Wycombe. And yeah, like you said, I kind of noticed that I had a chance. I was playing up a couple of years. I was doing well. Never let it get to my head because I thought I will do anything it takes to be a professional footballer. And then yeah, Reading came in at 14.
I think I want to take the opportunity to welcome those people who have just joined us on the show. Thank you very much. And also a big shout out to of course, our sponsor for the show, Matchday Affairs, people who organize Actually, you know what, Simon? They actually organize for people to travel to the Premier League, to the UK to watch the Premier League.
Oh,
Of course, with this whole COVID situation, they haven't had the opportunity to take people across. Hopefully, it all recovers. As you might, very well that the Premier League is such a global product, right? Where you got people in Asia that really enjoy it. So, if you're watching in, go check them out. Their website is www.matchdayaffairs.com. Like and share their Facebook page. Coming back to you, Simon, Reading was your first stop, right? Which level were Reading at that point in time? Were they in the championship or?
when I was younger, coming through 14, 15, 16, they were in the championship. And when I signed my first professional contract, that was the year that they got promoted to the Premier League. Then for the 2 years, as I was a pro, they're in the Premier League. When they got relegated, I got my chance.
But I mean, as a youngster coming and playing in the Premier League, how was it like for you? I mean, world class players playing there, and you get an opportunity to play in the Premier League. Was that I would say, I mean, of course, it's a huge achievement for any player, right? But when you look back now, like you can tell your grandkids that you played in the Premier League.
Well, that's the thing. I never played in the Premier League. I
Didn't
never.
play? Okay, all right, okay.
Oh, but I was part of the team, and that's probably one of my biggest regrets in my whole career that I never actually got one single minute in the Premier League. I mean, when I first broke into being a professional at 18, I was sent straight on loan because in front of me I had Kevin Doyle, Dave Kitson, Leroy Lita, all doing really well in the Premier League. Shane Long. So the club wanted me to go and get some experience, and that experience was amazing because I had some really good times and I had some really tough times that built my character. And I can remember I went on loan to Crewe, which was great. I played every single game. I came back, and then I went on loan to Yeovil, and Yeovil were in League One at the time, fighting relegation. Extremely old school manager. Didn't want the youngsters to kind of lean on and trust to get them out of the situation. And for me, I didn't play much in that, and it was a real learning curve at such a young age.
Just that, mate, when we are talking, it looks as though, are you on a Bluetooth or anything? Because it looks as though your voice doesn't coordinate with the way. Are you on a Bluetooth?
No, I'm on Wi-Fi. I haven't fed the meter,
Okay.
obviously.
Okay. Yeah. So I think it just doesn't coordinate. I think your sound is little bit late, but we'll keep going and see. Hopefully, we can coordinate. It's just that we hear the sound and then we hear your mouth moving. So that's it.
Really?
Yeah. I think that seems to be some sort of delay, but let's see. And then you're frozen up now. You there? Oops.
There we go. Is that better?
Yeah. Well, it's still the same. There's a bit of a lag, but yeah, we'll carry on. You can hear me fine, right?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
We'll,
No
we'll,
worries.
we'll, we'll keep going. I want to touch on it was 2007. You were in Reading, but you already made your under 21 debut for Wales.
Yeah, I was approached at I think 18, 19. I was doing well on loan, and yeah, they called me up, said would I be interested in playing for Wales. My grandparents were Welsh. I said to my dad. My dad was extremely proud. He would have loved it because his dad was a proud Welshman. Unfortunately, he passed away quite earlier than that. But yeah, it was an opportunity that I couldn't turn down, and for me, I just grasped it to play international football at the levels we did. And I was very fortunate that we had two games against England, which kind of on Sky Sports, which was just a huge platform for me to do well. And I was the first Welshman to score at under 21s level against England, and I scored three goals in two games, and it kind of threw me on the scene, to be honest. Those two games.
Nice one, nice one. Who were your fellow teammates? Any big names that you can share with us?
Yeah, at the time in the 21s, Aaron Ramsey was the standout. Played with Sam Vokes, Andy King, Joe Allen. Who else was in the 21s? That was probably the standout ones. Hal Robson-Kanu. And then, yeah, we all kind of grew. I was quite fortunate to break into the first team at 20 years old. And we all kind of grew into the first team together. So then we were playing with Gareth, and I was playing up front with Craig Bellamy at 20 years old, which was an amazing experience in World Cup qualifiers. And to be thrown in the deep end at 20 without too much experience was amazing for me. We were playing World Cup qualifiers, and yeah, brilliant times.
I want to talk about that, right? I mean, you said you broke into the first team. Do you remember? Was it like a given? You knew that you were going to get into the first team, or you were kind of in the fringe? And when you got the call, what I mean, it's special to play for your country, right? It's always special. It doesn't matter which country you play for. I remember very clearly the day that I knew that I was part of the senior national team. Like I was over the moon. Like, how did you find out? Like, who did you read in the papers, or did you get a call, a letter? How did they do that?
Yeah, it was a strange story because I was doing well for the 21s. I broke into the Reading team. I was playing consistently there, doing well, and I got an inkling from the under 21s manager. He said you're going to get your chance soon. And one day I was at the training ground at Reading, and the manager came in with a letter, and it was a letter from John Toshak saying, "You've been called up to the first team. We'd love you to be part of it. You've done really well. You deserve your chance." Handwritten letter, because he doesn't have a mobile phone. Which you know, it's funny now, but that was such a big thing. So something again, I've lost that letter. I don't know where that letter is, but he handwritten it, and I was called up and made my debut against Estonia.
And who was the first one you rang to tell that you're part of the Welsh team?
It was my dad. For sure. He was, to be fair, he was coming towards the end of his time. He was struggling with cancer. And it was, just an amazing chance to see for him to see me play for Wales and internationally before he passed away. So it was an incredible experience for that, and I'm so, glad that he got to see that.
How would you describe your debut? Yeah, your debut, you said, was against. Did you end up playing against Estonia? Did you play?
Yeah, I played the last half an hour against Estonia. Yeah.
And
oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say, who did you come on for?
Oh, I think I come on for Robbie Earnshaw. He scored the goal. I think we won 1-0. Wasn't a great game, but just to say, I've made my international debut. We won the game, and to be honest, from then on, I started the next qualifying campaign. I started pretty much every single game.
Wow. Okay. And who did you play up front with?
I was playing up front with Craig Bellamy, Robbie Earnshaw, Jermaine Easter at the time, Sam Vokes, and Gareth. Gareth was starting to move further up the pitch at those times as well. So yeah, we were quite fortunate to have such a young group of players come up together, mixed with such great experience. Craig Bellamy's, Wayne Hennessy, James Collins, Gabardon, all Premier League players, which was amazing for me.
I want to talk about Craig Bellamy because he's such a character, isn't he?
Do you know what? He's a huge character, but someone I respect so much, because people don't see the other side. They see, maybe have a perception of him, how he was on the pitch, a few stories that people may have heard. But on the pitch, he would employ people to come and work by himself in the afternoons to make sure he's spot on, he's sharp, he's quick, and he hated losing. So when I first come into the team, there was times where I didn't want to be on his team, because if I didn't pass him the ball, I'd get it. And if we lost, we'd get it as well. So, I mean, it was brilliant. I'll never forget one game where it was Finland away in the World Cup qualifier, and he took charge of the halftime team talk. And at the end, he wasn't happy because we lost 2-1. We were 1-0 up.
Really? Is he? I mean, in the sense that obviously we know that he's a winner. Is he quick? Because that was his game, right? He was super quick, right?
He was, like I said, quick, talented. He understood the game. He was a clever player, but also his technique was brilliant. He's quick with his feet, but he's quick with his mind as well. He knew exactly how to play, and that's why he had such a successful career and played so high. And I think with him, when he played for Wales, he just wanted to have the same success that he was having in his club with the national team, because we were so close every single time. And unfortunately, it just never happened while he was there.
And And talk about, because you actually went to the Euros with the Welsh team, didn't you?
Yeah, again, it sounds a bit robotic, but that is a dream come true. I mean, for me to go and play in the Euros, I played twice. I played against Russia, and then in the semi-finals against Portugal. And to be part of that amazing journey was just incredible. Because when you go to a national, an international tournament like that, everything is done so well. The way you travel, the way you prepare, the hotel, the amount of fans and people watching. It's an amazing stage.
Which Euros was this? Was this what, 2009? Was it?
2016 it was.
Oh, 16. Sorry, 2000. Where was 2016? Where was the Euros?
France.
France. Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And which group were you guys in?
We were in the group with Belgium, England, and Slovenia. Sorry,
Yeah.
Slovenia, and we topped the group. Um, then we went on to play Northern Ireland, beat them 1-0. Belgium in the quarterfinals, beat them 3-1, which was probably the best performance I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And unfortunately losing to Portugal in the semi-final. I think we just kind of went too far. The emotions, how long we were away, just all the games and the training. We were away for 7-8 weeks, and it was intense. And yeah, it was just an amazing experience to play in the semi-finals. No one would have ever thought that we'd get that far.
Was Cristiano Ronaldo part of the Portuguese team? I think so, right?
Yeah. He scored an amazing header. He jumped about 20 foot for a header. It was just incredible. But these kind of games, that's the beauty of playing international football. You're playing against the best players in the world. And for me, at the time where I was flirting between the Premier League and the Championship, was just incredible to be part of.
I always wondered, like, for especially in the international games, right? I mean, you guys, a lot of your squad was playing in the Premier League, and then you come up against a guy like Cristiano Ronaldo. What's the conversation you have in the dressing room? Like, do players, because let's not forget, players, we know players with full of ego, right? We don't want to be talking about that guy and this guy. But when you're up against someone like Cristiano Ronaldo, like you said, that was the semifinals, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
and what is the kind of conversation you have in the in the in the in the dressing room? Like, you tell the defenders, you better be careful. This guy is like the greatest player on earth. What kind of conversations do you guys have?
Do you know what? We didn't. To be fair, we kind of approached it like we did any other game. We obviously had the whole team. We knew everyone's strengths, weaknesses. Cristiano's was obviously, he's a goal scorer. He can turn a game on his head in a second, which he did. He scored a header out of nowhere. He jumped higher than anyone I've ever seen before in my life. But we didn't specifically target him. We didn't put two players on him. We had a good game plan. We were missing two important players, Aaron Ramsey and Ben Davis, who were fantastic throughout the whole competition. And yeah, again, he didn't make too much of an impact in the game, apart from obviously scoring, and that's what the best players do. You don't have to make an impact every single game, but the impact for him was scoring the goal, and the team, they played very well, and we just weren't up to scratch that day.
I'm sure you've been asked this question 100 times. How's it like being a teammate with Gareth Bale?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. That's what everyone asks, and I can just, he is on a completely different level. I mean, you've got good players, and then you've got top players, and then you've got the elite, and the elite do things that top players can't do. And Gareth, I've seen it in training, I've seen it in games where he's come up with something unbelievable to win a game. There's times in training where players are looking around at each other thinking, how has he done that? And it's just natural. It's just natural to him. You know what he's going to do. He's going to cut in on his left and he's going to smash one in the top corner, and you can't stop it. And there's only a handful of players that you can say that in the world. And even though he's a bit of a scapegoat at Real Madrid at the moment, he's proved year on year on year that he's got the quality to do it. It's just obviously having the confidence to go out there and do it as well.
Let's be honest. I think he was never the player he was, right? I think over time he became really good, right? And I'm pretty sure as a Welshman, you would have probably kept tabs on him. You probably know who he is and stuff like that. where do you think he started to explode? Of course, we saw once he went from Southampton to Spurs, then that was where it really turned on for him, right? And that match against, I still remember the match against Inter Milan was like that changed everything for him.
Yeah, he will say as well that game changed everything for him. I think it was just the fact that he was a good player. He had some real good qualities, but he's playing at left back. And no disrespect to anyone that plays at left back, you're not going to be. I mean, Roberto Carlos was world class, but he wasn't in the same bracket as Ronaldo. So he knew he had to move forward, and I think Harry Redknapp gave him the chance to move forward a little bit. And as soon as he did that, I mean, he was so quick, he was powerful. He has such an engine on it, and his left foot is incredible. And once he moved forward and he scored those goals, he just carried on playing like that until the best way to play him is having a free roll. Give him a free roll, go and get the ball, because technically on the ball he is fantastic. He can make a game turn on its head within a sixpence.
Oh, when I suppose sometimes he gets a little bit of unfair stick in the sense that obviously we know what happened at Real Madrid. Were you surprised that he actually made a move to Real Madrid? Is he Real Madrid material?
Yeah, 100%. I think the season before he moved to Real Madrid, he was unstoppable for Tottenham. I mean, he was the best player in the Premier League by far. When Real Madrid come in, you've got to go. And for him, he was the most expensive player in the world at the time. And I can remember he signed for Real Madrid, and we went and played an international game, and the scenes around the hotel and the security we had to have was just incredible. And he is such a level-headed guy. Like he would mess about, he would joke about, he'd be professional, but he wouldn't let it get to his head. He's never been arrogant or anything like that. And for him to have this he was a star. He was a worldwide star, and for a couple of seasons, the first couple of seasons, he did the work. He produced what he did on the pitch, won Champions League, scored goals, and it's just unfortunate that after time, you know how it is as a player. Consistency is the hardest thing that you can do, and when you're not settled somewhere or if you're not enjoying it, it's difficult to reach those levels.
Have you ever played golf with him?
Yes, yeah, I play golf with him. He absolutely loves golf, and do you know what? Loads of players do, but if he could play golf every day, well, I think he does. But he's really good at golf. Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing he got, right? In the sense that in Real Madrid, everything he did was around golf, and people like starting to wonder whether he was a footballer or a golfer.
See, that's the problem, isn't it? I mean, people forget that footballers have lives outside of football, so he'll go and train. He wasn't missing training to go and play golf. He just enjoyed playing golf as his hobby, his spare time, and it's not too taxing on the body as well. You get buggy. It's not. Some people like playing on PlayStation. Some people have their own businesses, but Gareth loves playing golf, and I don't know why that's seen as such a negative thing in the media, in the press, but it's something they've certainly jumped on.
Let's come back to your career in the sense that you went to Huddersfield from Leyton Orient. When I look at your career, you went on quite a few loan spells. And why was that? And why was that?
So in the beginning, the first 2 years of being a professional, I went on loan 4 times, just because there was never a route for me to the first team. But that's why I was playing under 21s. I was getting my experience, and I then came back from Leyton Orient to play in the playoff semi-final at Reading. Played in that, and then played for Reading for a number of years. And when we got into the Premier League, unfortunately, in football, there's a lot of things that are out of your hands in terms of politics, contracts, all this kind of stuff. I also thought that I deserved to be in a better position than what I was, because sometimes when you come through the academy in England, you're treated differently than someone that a club has bought in. And I felt that at the time, alongside a lot of the players that I came through, and maybe it was a bit of naivety or not, but I challenged the club, and unfortunately I got pushed to one side, and that's so common in football these days. If you've got something to say, you're going to be you're going to be pushed to one side. So maybe that was a bit of naivety. I went on loan to Huddersfield, and to be honest, I didn't enjoy it. I was in a bad time, which a lot of people can't relate to, because I was in the Premier League. I was earning, you know, the most amount of money that I've earned, and it was probably the most. It was the worst season for me. I didn't enjoy it. Didn't enjoy football, and I was training with the under-18s, and it's just not. It wasn't great, but I was still playing for Wales at that season.
Wow. I just want to, there's a lot of obviously, young people watching this and going like, what was the mindset or what was your mental state at that time when you're not really enjoying football? Because as strange as it sounds, people watching this go, "You're playing football for a living. Like, how bad can it be, right?" People are going to be asking you that, but also not realizing that footballers are human beings too. You have emotions, and it's a job, right? As much as you love it, it becomes a job. What sort of mindset were you at that space, or where was your head at in the space that you probably thinking like, um, was it easier to quit or say let's hang in there to find a new club? What was it, what were you looking for?
Yeah, I think, like you said there, it's easy for people to see from the outside, how can you complain, you're a footballer? But what they don't see is the years and years and years of dedication and training and people that's trying to take your position. And once you get to this stage, I felt I deserved to be a part of the Premier League. I was a huge part of the team winning the championship, getting promoted. Because of politics stood in my way, I was extremely, to be honest, I had to get help, outside help, psychologists, sports psychologists that helped me focus, use all that stuff in a positive way. I mean, I was always a professional, but I'd come in, I'd do my training, I'd work hard, I'd stay later, and I'd go home and wait for my opportunity. But it's difficult, it's hard, because as a professional footballer, you spend your whole week leading up to the game on Saturday, where you'll get your chance to play, or you might be on the bench and come on and make a difference. But if you haven't got that at the end of the week, what are you training for?
Mm.
It's so difficult to keep yourself motivated and pushing, because every day you're pushing your barriers, you're working hard, you're sweating, you're putting your body through a mess, and at the end of it, you don't get any reward. I think that was the toughest thing to deal with. Like I said, I was in a fantastic position. I was playing part of the Premier League club. Didn't have any worries financially at the time, but coming home and you've got so much frustration, because all you want to do is play football, and you can't. I think that was the toughest, probably one of the toughest times in my career, for sure.
2013, you made a move to, I suppose that was a permanent move to Charlton Athletic. They were probably in the championship at the time.
Yeah, yeah. Again, at the end of the season, had to run down my contract. Left Reading, wanted a new start, fresh start, and Charlton come in, gave me the number 9. I thought, they'd done okay in the championship, but they wanted to grow on that. And it was a good club. I mean, fantastic club, big club. They were building a new training ground, wanted to, sold me the dream and all that. And unfortunately, after I think it was about 3 months of being at Charlton, new ownership came in and completely changed the club. And to be honest, the club hasn't recovered since.
Mm. And looking at your time in Charlton, like I said, they obviously wanted you to be part of what in football they call the project, right? Coming to the project and stuff like that. How was your form then? I mean, I'm looking at you. You played 55 games, 5 goals. Not that great return, isn't it?
No, it wasn't great at all. I mean, the start off was okay. I was given a few games, but as I said, once Chris Powell left and the new ownership came in, I got pushed to one side again. I was told I had to leave, get off the wage bill. I had a few injuries, and my love for football at that period, after being at Reading, thinking that Charlton would give me a new lease of life, and the same stuff kept happening. Mentally, it's the hardest thing. That's the hardest battle. And like you said there, my stats weren't great at all. So I didn't have any leg to stand on when speaking to clubs. I had to do the business on the pitch, and I just felt at the time it was such a difficult place for me to kind of get back to where I thought I could be. Again, environments. If you're in the wrong environments, it's hard for you to flourish and given the opportunity. And people don't get that. You can be a professional, but as a professional footballer, consistency is key to your career and success. And when you don't have that consistency, it's so difficult to do anything.
Let's talk about, you spent 2 seasons there, then you went to Milton Keynes Dons. Was that in the same division, or did you have to drop one division down?
Yeah, no, again, after a bad time at Charlton, I thought MK Dons they've recently got promoted to the Championship.
Okay.
Again, a great chance for me to kind of get myself back out. I was still playing for Wales consistently throughout Charlton, throughout MK Dons. So that gave me the confidence to think, I'm still good enough to do a job, especially being, the main striker in the Championship at least. And yeah, again, we struggled that season. The manager had a rotation system for strikers, so we would know 2-3 months in advance which games we would play, which games we wouldn't play. And for a striker, it's difficult because if you scored a goal, you knew you weren't playing the next game anyway. And to be honest, we played a certain style of play that just didn't suit the Championship. And as I said, we struggled up to Christmas, and that was the season where, at the end of the season, we qualified for Euro 2016, and I was thinking, I have to get out of here. I have to score goals to cement my position as in the squad for the Euros, because that was all I cared about. I've got to be honest. I wanted MK Dons to stay in the league, which I thought we could, but all I cared about was playing in the Euros for Wales. So I had to leave. I had to make a tough decision, and what I learned very quickly in football is it's every man. You've got to do what's right for you, and not for everyone else, because no one cares about you as a player and individual.
Yeah, again, what I'm looking at is 19 games, 2 goals. But it's I must say that the Welsh setup must really value you, in the sense that I suppose with the national team they will only take the best players, right? And I think Wales is not short of talent, but they still kept coming back to you. Was that something special that about you that they liked, or?
Yeah, I think again, maybe my stats. When I look back at my stats, they weren't the best, and that's something that I probably not regret, but feel I should have done a lot better in terms of got my goals to games ratio for sure. But I felt like I gave enough to the team that would help the team, and I don't think I was good. I was certainly good enough to play. But yeah, with Wales, I always raised my game. Always raised my game because I had to. I had to raise my game, playing with Joe Allen, playing with Aaron Ramsey, playing with Gareth Bale, and I don't know what it is about playing international football. It just raises everything about you, the atmosphere, how people watch it, how many people watching, and for some reason it just never happened at club level after I left Reading, and I don't know what it was. I kept falling out with managers. I just wasn't happy. I just wasn't happy playing football, and I think that showed on the pitch and it showed in the changing rooms. And not that I was a bad egg. I still love having a laugh and talking and working hard. That's what I do. But I just never felt I fitted in as a player.
Let's talk about the time you moved to Aberdeen. You went to Scotland to play. That must have been an experience, because was the level same as the Championship, or was it higher in Scotland?
This was at the time where so I had to move from MK Dons in January. I moved to Aberdeen because MK Dons wouldn't let me go to another Championship club. So I had to either choose League One or Scotland. And to be honest, I always say I didn't know too much about Scottish football. But Aberdeen was second at the time, and they were the closest team outside of Celtic and Rangers to be challenging for the number 1 spot. And my first game was against Celtic. The manager did everything he could to get me there. He wanted me to come. And I think as a player, when a manager believes in you, then you have so much more confidence. Go back to the Wales, like Chris Coleman had so much confidence in me, whether it's starting or on the bench, and it just gave me so much confidence. So I went up to Aberdeen, had a great time up there. The level, it was difficult because my first game was against Celtic, and then I'd play against Inverness Caledonian Thistle away in front of 2,000 people, and it was difficult. I couldn't believe what was going on, but again, it was a great time for me. I scored a good amount of goals, played well, and that allowed me to cement my place in the Euro squad.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at your stats here. It's 13 games, 6 goals. That's not bad. Every other game you're scoring goals there.
Yeah, and to be honest, I had a few injuries as well in that. I could have got a bit more, could have got a couple more, but like I said, I think that just gave me that lift to say, okay, I can score goals. I needed to play consistently. I needed to score goals consistently, and I felt that confidence coming back in at the back end of the season. I was also the biggest thing was that you're in a place that you're loved. That the manager trusts you. The fans enjoy you scoring, playing well. The team were doing well. We just fell short. We came second that year, but to be part of that squad that was the closest again was a great achievement.
Then from there, you moved to Holland, to Roda JC.
Yeah, again, after the Euros, I came back. I think I had about 10 days off. And at the time, I was really struggling with my injuries. But I was kind of fed up of English football. Uh, After all my experiences with it, like with the Championship, doing well with going to the Euros, I wanted to go abroad. Unfortunately, we go back to politics, and I had a few moves that were stopped from MK Dons because they wanted players to come in first before they left. No one wanted to come to MK Dons. A few nice moves. I was going to move to Australia. I was going to move to Russia. I was going to move to Belgium as well. And I was quite lucky enough to know the manager at Roda, who phoned me up and said, "Come and watch our game in the Eredivisie. We want you to be the main striker. Reignite your career here." And I always thought, you look at the Eredivisie, and all the strikers that score goals move on to bigger clubs.
Yeah, they do.
And that's kind of what we took. We took a risk. I took a 1 year. I said, right, 1 year, I'm going to concentrate. I'm going to score some goals. I'm going to get myself back out there. And unfortunately, after 4 games, my hip just completely went.
Wow.
It just went. I'll never forget. I was playing against Feyenoord away. Fantastic stadium, great atmosphere, and I took a shot and I just lost complete power. I thought I can't even get up. I couldn't even stand up, and there was something seriously wrong there. And it was just a combination built off over the years and years and years of trying to suppress the pain, trying to get on with it, and it just got too much.
Wow, that must have been painful. And you eventually recovered and then came back to Scunthorpe.
Yeah, again, it was a tough experience. I mean, I didn't play for 16 months without first team training. I wasn't fully fit, and I failed a few medicals in Belgium, Turkey, Poland.
Really?
Yeah, and luckily enough for me, I got a phone call from Graham Alexander, the Scunthorpe manager. He said, "Do you want to come down and try and basically have a trial?" I had a good session. Took me out in the afternoon. Scored a lot of goals in training. They signed me that afternoon, which was amazing. I came on. I hadn't played for 16 months, but I signed on the Thursday. I came on the Saturday. I came on off the bench on Saturday. Done well, won the penalty, we won the game, and then I started on the Tuesday, and my hamstring went. I just went, and it was just devastation. Injuries, and I just never met. I was never able to make it back at the level that your body, your mind wants to do, but your body just won't allow you, and it was just getting to that stage.
Amazing stuff. Then it was Plymouth Argyle.
I've got to be honest; they were the only club that took me on.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, just with all that's gone on, it was a medical. They put me on a fairly good contract. I never felt like I had to retire or I was struggling. I still felt like I could do a job. I was training well, and combination. I think I was just pushed too hard with the training. I didn't manage it. The club didn't manage it as well as they should have. Again, quite an old school manager where if you don't train, you're not going to play. And times have changed. Now players are playing with niggles and injuries, and you have to manage them. It's not about getting on the training pitch every single day. The older you get, and unfortunately, again, I just didn't get a chance to play or or to prove myself again. And I had a serious injury, serious issue. And when I saw the surgeon basically said you need to stop playing football completely.
Ouch.
Yeah,
That must have been heartbreaking, right?
yeah, it was something I wasn't prepared for. I always thought that I'm I'm not fit. I need to get fit and I need to get back playing. That was always my mentality. And I was struggling with pain, but what footballer doesn't struggle with pain? You kind of get used to it. And yeah, it wasn't. It was the realization of the meeting from the surgeon to say basically you've got an 80-year-old's hip. It's not going to get any better. You have to stop running for the rest of your life. So he told me to stop running for the rest of my life. And that was a real shock because I had such a backlog of I don't want to come across negative because I had some amazing times, but it was tough. It was tough mentally, and then to have the indication that you have to stop playing football was obviously a tough pill to swallow.
I wanna ask you about this because looking back now, right? Obviously, on hindsight, everyone's a genius and stuff like that. But when you look at your career, if you didn't have these injuries, uh, because you played for Wales with a lot of these, you didn't get your opportunity, you had injuries, you had so many challenges ahead of you, but you still managed to play for your country and quite a few times, right? Do you think that if you probably took a different route, if you didn't have that injury, or even probably have half the injuries you had, do you think that you would have scaled the heights, even greater heights?
Yeah, 100%. It's not until you come out of football, is it, where you look back and think, should I have done that differently? Should I have made that decision different? 100%. I feel like, especially when I broke onto the scene, I was in a good vein of form. I was playing well. I was being linked with some really big clubs. And yeah, decisions I made at a young age, after people around me at the time, the things I went through off the pitch. I think it was just a combination of so many different things where you can look back and say, if I did that, I would have had a different career. Like a lot of my friends that I played with have gone on to play. Gylfi Sigurdsson, we used to live together. He's gone on to make, a credible career. And yeah, I do look back and think it could have been, but do you know what? I look back, I played in the semi-final of the Euros, I won the championship, played enough professional games, played enough times for Wales. I've done okay. I'll
Yeah,
take it.
yeah. Fast forward. I know you're a very enterprising guy because you're one of those footballers that I connected with in the UK, and you planned ahead, right? You really planned ahead. You started a real estate investment company. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I think probably at the age of 24, where I had my first daughter, where I realised, and my injuries were starting to kind of, I thought this isn't going to last forever. I just always had an interest in property, always had an interest in business, but I probably didn't push it as hard as I should have at an early stage, and that's the common kind of theme, isn't it, nowadays? What we're trying to help people do is think from as early as you can to start planning, because you never know when that day is going to come. And I just always had an interest in business and property, and it wasn't until I come out of football and really pushed the networking, talking to people who are successful, had other successful businesses, where I thought there's so many opportunities outside of football. And if I was a bit more aggressive while I was playing, because I had the time, and when you're an athlete, you don't realise how much time you have to focus on other things. You're just so wrapped up in the next game, training, sleeping, eating the right things, spending time with the family. You don't think about the time when it's all gone.
Also, I think a lot of athletes forget that when the spotlight's on you, you get a lot of free media, right? You got free
Yeah.
media that otherwise, when you're not playing, you have to pay a lot of money to get that attention. So that's one of the things that I keep telling a lot of these athletes that I mentor. I'm like, when the spotlight's on you, you got to make hay while sunshine, right? Because once the lights go off, you now need to pay a lot of money to get that attention on you. You get actually free media that you need to ride the wave while you can. So let's talk about what you're doing now. I know you got the property business portfolio going, but you also do something very interesting. In some countries, it's actually illegal, but in the UK, it is legal, CBD.
Yeah,
Tell us
yeah,
about that.
it's definitely a strange one. Throughout my career, as I mentioned, I always struggled with injuries, and being in professional sport, all you get for a bit of pain is a tablet. Um, Tablet to help you with pain, tablet to help you sleep, tablet to help you with anything else. And over the years, I became reliant on it. I became addicted to them. It also had a negative effect on my body. And after my surgery in 2018, WADA, which is the World Anti-Doping Association, removed CBD from the prohibited list. I thought I need an alternative natural source because my stomach was in bits. I was really had some adverse effects to all the drugs I was taking, which sounds crazy because professional footballers get drug tested all the time,
Yeah.
and we are effectively addicted to these drugs because we need them to get through most days. And yeah, I come across CBD or did my research, took the products, and I had such an amazing positive effect in terms of sleeping. I never slept through the night when I was a player throughout my career. My pain was starting to reduce, my anxiety, which a lot of people don't. A lot of professional athletes don't talk about the anxiety of having to perform, playing well. Did I play well? Did I play well? I've got training tomorrow. All this stuff, media, fans, what the fans think of me. Anxiety was a big thing, and it reduced my anxiety hugely. So it's something that myself and obviously Russell, my business partner, we kind of had a meeting, and we both mentioned CBD at the same time. We had it written down, and because of our backgrounds in sport, especially, there was nothing in the industry targeted and focused on sports nutrition and well-being, and we spent a good six to 12 months of research and development trying to get a natural source of CBD for to try and replace your everyday supplements.
How's that business coming along?
It's going well, yeah. I mean, again, I'm someone who will jump in and learn as we're going, and it's been an incredible journey. Yeah, we've made a few mistakes at the start, but now we've really kind of, after making those mistakes, we've structured the business to push us towards, we want to be exiting for tens of millions of pounds. I mean, that's the goal, and we want to create a brand on a global scale. And for us to learn all this, it has been incredible, and we're starting to put that in fruition now, and we're getting some real good traction. And if you'd asked me 3 years ago, would I be in business like this? Would I be doing things? I would have said, not a chance, no chance. I'll still be playing football. So I'm just enjoying every single moment of this. And yeah, it's stressful as owning any business is, but I mean, to see where we've come from a year ago to where we are now is amazing.
What's the future looking like for yourself after football? Was it easier to play football, or is it easier now?
Do you know what? Football, there's never going to be anything as tough as playing football. Never. So, I mean, when you're playing in front of tens of thousands of people every week, you've got people commented on you, judging every single performance, everything you do. To come out of that, nothing will ever come close to that. If someone gives us a bad review, or we have a meeting and it doesn't go well, it does not affect me whatsoever as much as what I did on a football pitch. But also at the same time, you will never ever get the same highs as being on a football pitch, and the experiences I had as a footballer, you cannot replicate that. You can't replicate in real life what it was like to play in the Euros, what it was like to score a goal in front of 30, 40,000 people. You just can't replicate that. So, I mean, for me, I'm so excited about the future because I didn't realise until you come out the other side what else is out there, and connecting with people like yourself, connecting with people that I probably wouldn't have if I was still in football. And that's the biggest thing that I try and kind of give back to a few players that I speak to now.
Any regrets in football?
Yeah. I'd say probably regrets. Biggest one's not playing in the Premier League. um, and that was probably down to myself, the way I conducted myself, and not that I was conducting myself in a bad way. I think it was just a bit of naivety from myself. That is probably the biggest regret. I mean, if I look back, I've made decisions on clubs and decisions on the pitch which could have changed. You know how it is. If you score a goal, it changes everything. Um, but that's probably my biggest regret for sure.
All right, mate. I think it's been a very interesting time talking to you, looking at your journey. You must have gone through a lot of pain to be a professional footballer. And you know what? You're someone that I'll always follow on, whether if it's on Facebook or Instagram or even LinkedIn, to really keep an eye on how successful you get outside of football, because that's my biggest passion today, right? Just seeing athletes and footballers, really, have the different version of themselves and be really successful like what they were on the pitch, and now taking it into the business world. And I wish you all the best.
No, thank you very much. And yeah, it's amazing what you're doing as well to help players, because it's such a need. Whether you're a footballer or an athlete or someone who's transitioning, it's such a need because it's difficult. Number one, no one cares, and number two, what do you do? Who do you go to? Who do you speak to? What do I do now? And I think that's such an incredible thing.
Thank you very much for your time. And for those of you watching, if you like such interviews, I've got my radio show on the weekends on CNA 938 if you're in Singapore. It's called Sports Talk Saturday and Sunday. Hopefully we can bring you such great interviews like the one I've done with Simon in 2 weeks from now. So stay tuned. Make sure you like and share this page. Simon, thank you again for your time, and I'll speak to you really soon.
So, cheers, mate.